fuck is up, Sean Basiliga?
What's up, internet?
Yeah. Season 2, this is the Rockstar edition, just so you know. So this is only for music makers, wave takers, and rump shakers. And you're all of the above, so I figured this would be a good season for you to step in, step aboard the ship.
Been doing a lot of rump shaking lately.
Awesome. To what?
Grateful Dead music. Danced for like 12 hours last weekend.
Holy shit. There's places in Santa Cruz doing live music for like 12 hours at once.
Not all at once, across the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, this local bar, Michael's on Main. It's basically a Grateful Dead bar. It's been like going off, like pretty much back to normal, but with masks. And it's been amazing. But there's a show there on Friday. It went pretty late till like 12:30, so it was kind of good to party late again.
Hell yeah.
Been doing these dead dances at this spot called Greyhound Rock up the North Coast. We just take over this parking lot and blast dead shows. Um, Way up on this like ocean cliff, looking out over sunset, which is a really amazing spot. It's actually a pretty old deadhead spot. Like people used to just crash out there after the West Coast tours would end.
Hell yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty cool. People go there like specifically to dance. Um, there's kind of a lot of people, like up to 100, even though it's like a half an hour out of town. And uh, yeah, it's like a really cool scene. Like sometimes there'll be like a little gap in the music where it's just silent and like no one's talking. All you can hear is like people's feet scuffing around. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh, that's beautiful.
Hell yeah.
And then Grateful Sundays, we've been
Oops.
guy Matt Hartle been basically been dead shows there every Sunday, and I've
Uh-huh.
been pretty mind blown lately. Um, so yeah, that was my weekend, and then yeah, this weekend Dark Star Orchestra is playing 3
Oh,
shows in a row
sick.
at fucking Roaring Camp. It's like Henry Cowell, like
Uh-huh.
right in the Redwoods. It's actually my favorite venue. And it used to like barely be a venue, like they wouldn't really do shows there, but now with COVID, it's kind of like the best big outdoor spot, and they're doing shows there all summer.
Uh-huh.
And that's
Uh-huh.
kind of like the first one. Dark Star Orchestra is doing 3 nights in a row,
Damn.
so I might get another 12 in.
Well, I fingers crossed. I mean, dancing is like one of the most healing things you can do for yourself, depending. I mean, whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood, it's just a good thing to do, just to feel your body and like just tap into some vibes, you know.
Yeah, I never really got into it until recently, and I totally agree with you, especially if you got to get anger out. Um, and like I've listened to the Dead for like over 10 years, but like dancing to it is a whole nother experience
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
for me. And um, yeah, now that like I don't skate anymore, like I realize I get a lot of anger out skating, just like energy, but um now dancing's finally kind of filling that gap for me.
Dude, I feel the same way. Like I literally I'm such a fucking maniac that it's like if I don't ride my bike for like minimum 15 to 20 miles, like I'm probably going to be cranky.
Yeah.
And it's like either that or like try to run 3 or 4 miles. Like I almost have to like exhaust that part of myself because I'm still like I've heard several people refer to this. It's just like you're just a really charged up, angry young man sometimes, you know? And that applies to like all of us. Not saying like you're constantly this way, but like when you're that way, that's like that's potential for you to get in trouble, you know? Like cuz you're just like fuck it, you know? And then like if you go skating or even you go mountain biking whatever, it's like that shit fucking humbles you, you know? Cuz it's like you're fucking charging up or whatever right now. Like I'm super into mountain biking, and it's like there's some hills around here where it's just like, fuck. After riding up that hill, I'm just like, whoo, like I got nothing but nice things to say after everybody I meet, you know?
Yeah, I definitely learned that lesson earlier on in the pandemic. Like, I need to like exercise, which I never really like push myself before all that, but once you got all this pent up energy, you definitely got to blow it off.
Yeah.
And that worked for a while. It was kind of like harder during winter, um, but yeah, I kind of got a little tired of going to all the same spots and just going way out in the nature by myself, which is always good, but gets a
Is
little
there any
old.
way that we could like stabilize your laptop a little bit just because your camera is like shaking a lot?
Oh, yeah, I'm like kicking the table probably.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, you can kick it if you want. It's just like it's better if it's not moving constantly.
It's earthquake country out here.
Yeah, yeah, seriously, dude.
Knock on wood, actually. That would happen at
No,
this
no.
point.
It's had such a rough go after the pandemic. It's like nothing else bad should happen to that state right now.
Yeah, I know. Fire season probably basically starts this week. It's kind of crazy.
Really? That early?
Yeah, I think there was a fire the other week. I don't know the story behind it. It didn't get out of control or anything, but I mean, it got up to 80 today. We only got like 50 or 60% of our annual rain. So people are kind of freaking out.
Wow.
And apparently, like the last fires didn't really do much for like a fuel load reduction. It's because like the fire just blew through. Didn't really end up blowing or burning that long, but there's still fat redwoods out there that aren't all the way burnt. And all the trees just like drop their needles. So there's like a forest of matches out there,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
like, have you ever like lit a pine cone on fire? Like that shit just goes up insane.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
imagine an entire
no.
forest of that shit.
Yeah, or just like one tree, like
Yeah,
one tree's worth of firewood.
it's wild. Those guys that fight those fires, it's just like it almost feels like working for like the post office. It's just like this shit just doesn't end ever. Like those massive fires. It's like I don't know. I mean, they seem to somehow get them under control at some point, but I don't even know if the human impact is like maybe it's just the fire burning itself out a lot of times.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty out of control this year. Where I think the strategy has actually changed a little bit because people are starting to realize like shit has to burn at some point across,
Right.
10 years. Like you can't just suppress it forever. That's why it goes up huge when it does.
Hmm.
So that they sort of did that a little bit, like just sort of kept letting it burn. They try and like protect people's properties and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
it's kind of good they've been taking that route.
Yeah, I don't know. Fire like after living in SB, and I've lived in Tahoe too when the fires were going off gnarly like, but the SB one, it really really impacted me, dude, and it's like it's not a situation I want to live through again. Like it's fucking terrifying, honestly. And like there's not very much good information and as it's starting to affect your personal community, you're just like literally like, okay, any moment I might have to be evacuated and like throw some shit in a backpack and just bounce. Like that's stressful to like you're like I'm paying to live here and that's my experience. Like this sucks.
Yeah, I know. I had to evacuate this year. It was during a really shitty week for me too. It was like the worst week. I
Right.
like had this surgery and then or no, I was having these car problems and I had to like take the car out of the shop so that I could get the surgery. And then I was leaving the surgery and my car just broke down, had to get it towed. And that was like while we were under threat of the evacuation. And then like 2 days after that, I had to evacuate. Luckily, my parents just came and got me. Um, so, I mean, luckily, it turned out fine for me. The fire didn't really get that close to my house, but
No,
it
I
was
remember
a
you called me
pretty
that week.
trippy experience. I mean, because like I put all my important stuff in a pile, and I was like, "That's it." Like that's all I really care about. I guess the rest of this is like I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Um, and then I left, and I was like, "Oh, I should have like grabbed this and that," which really it was like my like clothes or like that shirt I really liked, you know. Um, and at one point, I kind of thought it could burn, so like at least in my mind, I was like, "Oh, it's gone," but didn't end up burning or anything.
Mm.
Um, but didn't turn that way out for everyone. But yeah, it was a tough year. One of my favorite places in the world, Big Basin, burned, and it's never going to be the same in my lifetime, probably.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I still can't quite accept that. Like, I have to like block it out in my mind a little bit.
Big Basin is it's beautiful, or it was. I don't know. It's probably still pretty epic, but
No, I mean, dude, it's like a ghost forest right now. It's like a black forest.
oh shit,
Yeah.
crazy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'll be sort of the same in like 10 years, but it's different.
I don't. I guess I don't remember. Was that the King Fire for that one, or was this the same Santa Barbara, like the Southern California, LA fires that burned up there?
I think the Santa Barbara fire, that must have been like a year or maybe even two before. It's actually, I can't even like keep them all straight anymore.
Oh
But,
shit. Yeah.
well, this year there was this dry lightning storms in August, which like never really happens.
Right.
It was kind of crazy because it was like cool at first. You're like, wow, lightning, like that never happens. And it actually like lit fires in like all these random places, and uh where just like you couldn't really even put them out even if you tried. And it happened like across the whole state, which is why I was like fucked. Actually, that was definitely why I was screwed, because usually there's just like one fire and then like all Cal Fire can like go there and fight it, but there was like six giant ones all at the same time, and um they couldn't like properly allocate their resources.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, all you people that move to the East Coast, like California is like entirely different now. Like the sky is like red for like a month now, and like you can't go outside because it's smoky, and it's just so ominous during that time. Even, I mean, like the fire can be like up in like Santa Rosa, and it's blowing over Santa Cruz. So it's like nowhere near you, but you're like, it's like impacting you.
Mm. Yeah. I don't know, man. The East Coast is it's got its ups and its downs. It's not on fire,
Yeah.
but
I know.
like, dude, I like we're just literally getting out back outside again because it's not like just miserably frigid and sleeting and just like I mean, if you're an artist, it can be really good. Like there's parts of the winter, especially the beginning of winter, that I really love because I'm like I get all like cozy and like I'm warm and I'm like lock myself in my studio. But then by the end of February, you're just like, holy fuck, like is this ever gonna end? Like I've watched so much goddamn Netflix and like drank so much whiskey at this point. Like, can you please just end? I need to do something outside.
I know. I've never been through that. I think I would have a tough time,
I,
but I guess everywhere's got its own things to deal with.
Yeah. I did a lot better last winter because I had a gym. I had gym access, and it was just like if I went to the gym, I just usually felt so much better, you know, each day. And it's so basic. It's just like so obvious. Like, are you depressed? And you're like, yeah. are you exercising? Most of the time when I say yes to depression, it's like I'm not really exercising, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, that's a huge, huge step in the right direction, but everybody's different.
Yeah.
Some people get that like intellectually too, like oh, they're not reading or they're not like learning something. Like you can also exercise your brain too. Like if you're not like a if you're an indoor cat, you know, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Distract yourself, blow off some steam.
So let's
Think
get into
of-
some some of your like creative endeavors. Like let's see. I know you're a big time skateboarder. We all that was our fucking bread and butter for so many years. But like everybody seemed to like gravitate to different areas of it, and photography was definitely a big one for you. Was skateboarding the reason that you picked up a camera?
Um, it was definitely around the same time. I don't know if it was directly because of that. I think my dad was kind of always a little bit into photography, enough to like give me a camera, which was like the first step. And then since we were skating at the time, obviously that came pretty naturally. Although I did kind of like artistic photography, that at least I thought was cool. I don't know if anyone else did at the time. um, but yeah, obviously growing up with talented skaters made that fun. And then kind of got into the zine making, which wasn't really my idea at first, but since I had all these skate photos, my friend that was a graphic designer made the push to, make a magazine out of it. And then I guess that definitely lit a fire under my ass to keep doing it and keep refining it, I guess, keep going with it. And um, yeah, I haven't, now I kind of just do like phone nature photography, done some photography for work, just product photography, I guess. Um, but yeah, it's definitely been with me a majority of my life.
Yeah, I almost think like for me, I literally started like messing with video cameras because of skateboarding. Was just like I just want to film. I want to like see myself skate. I want to like learn how I'm making mistakes and get better and like get a better kickflip or whatever out of it. And that was like the way I figured would be the easiest. But then I realized like wait, like if you have a camera, then like you're all of a sudden like you're kind of like an asset to like other skaters that are really good, you know? And then all of a sudden it's like these people that you're looking up to as really talented skateboarders are like, no, come on, like you're definitely in the van because you're the kid with the camera, you know? So I didn't know if you had that type of experience because I know like you and I would we skated forever back in the day at like FGO days and stuff, and then we went to LA with Mike and like met like a bunch of talented people down there. But then you had your whole other network in Slow, you know, that was like completely independent for your own.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the same thing that you were like, oh, this dude shoots dope photos. He's got to come to the spot, or
Um, yeah, I hope so. I was pretty into it. It is kind of like work, I guess, or if you have to decide if you want to skate or shoot photos, um, which is sort of an interesting thing about photography. Like I do love it, but it sort of like takes you out of the moment, you know, um,
mm,
which is kind of why I drift from it and like try to separate myself or be independent from it, at least now. Um, but yeah, definitely back then, I do kind of miss that. It was nice being like the guy with the zine and a camera. And when you have a camera, you can kind of claim like press pass and like get into stuff sometimes. Like my claim to fame for that was I shot, or I was into like music photography for a little, and I shot a show at Great American Music Hall.
Mm-hmm.
which is like one of the nicest venues in SF, and the whole like top level was like closed off, but like flashed the press pass and like got to like run around up there and like get all the cool angles.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, so I do miss a bit of that. Uh, but yeah, photography is like, I feel like changed a lot throughout the years just with the camera phones now. It's like now everyone thinks they're a photographer, and uh, Instagram,
Mm.
and it's a little like less special to be a photographer, I suppose. And they sort of just like make it so easy. Like the cameras on phones are crazy good, and you don't have to mess with any of the settings, and just photography is so ubiquitous now. Um, but I guess it makes it like fun and cool at the same time. So much cool stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't know. I deleted all the social medias except for TikTok. I do have a TikTok, and I
Oh,
fucking love it,
nice.
and I'm proud. I
Gotta
need
flex
some
those
sort of
dance
like,
moves.
what's that?
Gotta flex those dance moves you've been telling us about.
Right, I know, I know. I usually just like repost like one of my most popular videos on there is just like a clip from Seinfeld. So it's like
Nice.
it's so different than Instagram. That's why I love it. It's just like this stupidest shit. And that's like what it's about. It's kind of like Snapchat when it first started, just like mundane silliness. And there's like definitely professional TikTokers, but like I don't know. It's just interesting to see social media evolve, and I don't know. I really don't like the other ones cuz it's like I started learning how much information they're just like basically stealing from you and then also blocking from you and saying like, "Oh, you engage a lot when your friend is like a Trump supporter, so like we're going to just feed you more of like these conservative posts that will get you to like engage more on our platform." Whether that's like really going on or not, all they care about is like clicks and engagement. It's just like ah, it's kind of,
Yeah.
it's really hard to support once you just realize you're getting like data harvested, from the whole
Yeah, it's a weird business model to think that like you are the content creator, like you're working for Instagram, and they're
yeah.
just like sitting there making like billions of dollars. And then, like, my opinion, those apps like suck. You can't do like the most basic stuff on it. Like
Yeah,
on Instagram, you can't post multiple photos with like different cropping. It's like
right.
really like out of all the programmers there, like you can't make that happen. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, it's been like an interesting arc with like at least me and Facebook, because around the time I was making Realize, like the whole idea of Realize was to like only print like positive stories or like positive, inspiring, cool art, whatnot. And I must have done that for like 5 or 10 years. And like when I was on Facebook, like that was all I was doing was like sharing the like art and Realize stuff. And then like stuff in society, just slowly got worse. And I went through a phase of being like, oh, this is a great way to share information. I'm gonna share all this valuable information that people are gonna find valuable. And like that totally backfires, and it just like devolves into
Mm.
this like arguing match, and people like freaking out. And now I've just like given up on that, and like just try and stay silent. And like sometimes I want to start Realize again, but it seems like, I don't know, not the right time and place to be posting like positive stuff. I mean, I wish I could, but it's just, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it was happening like it quite was back then.
I mean, we all lived a lot closer and we're like all hanging out a lot more during that period. Because, I mean, you were definitely the man behind Realize, but there was also a lot of like contributors too, which is really helpful.
Yeah.
Like to just generate content for you to put it together. and we had the website going. I mean, we definitely had a thing going, but what's stopping you from just doing something? I mean, similar, just kind of like reincarnate it, but I don't know.
That's what I mean. I'm like, I don't know. I don't see that. I don't see as much inspiring art to a certain extent.
Uh huh.
And I mean, maybe it was just our age when we were like in our early 20s. It's like we all had a lot more time and energy to like do that, but now people got careers or bills to pay, and I mean, it's hard to stay an artist for a while for some people, you know.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of dedication and sacrifice. I guess with Realize, um, kind of felt like I was putting in a ton of work and not getting that much um, response or, uh, you know, I guess that's how a lot of artists feels. Probably not entirely true, but um, yeah, just had to let the ship sail sometimes, you know, see
Yeah.
what future brings, whatever the next opportunity is.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, like it sounds like there might be like some sort of crossroads for you coming up where you could dive back into your creative vibe or like go professional or just go travel and do your own thing for a little while.
Yeah, actually, I've been doing
Awesome.
more marketing at work. So now I'm kind of being creative professionally. Like I finished this ad I designed today. It'll be my second ad that I have had in print, and I'm kind of learning a lot through that, and just like working with my manager. There's kind of like two other graphic design people at my work that I learn a lot from, and I'm learning a lot about the Adobe programs like InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop. Because, dude, I turns out did not know how to use those programs at all when I was like making the magazine. Like, I like, found out way later that I was like using it like a caveman.
Uh-huh.
So maybe that's where I'm at in the cycle. I'm like learning, and because it is kind of like, oh, I can like actually make a magazine now that I
Mm.
know what I'm doing. I was just pretending like I know what I was doing before.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's interesting, dude. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to encourage you to do anything you're not inspired to do, but I always thought it was really cool. Just the response to when people did actually have it, and it was like, I mean, we had literally like no money, like zero. So it's like we would print, I mean, you would print basically like 10 copies at a time sometimes, and they just all instantly be gone. And it was just like that costed, basically that was our spending money for the week. And it's just all into this paper magazine. I can see it being like that's hard to maintain, especially when you have no, I don't know, you don't have a serious like backer or sponsor to keep printing and like pay for the cost of just for printing, like not even considering your time, but just the printing cost. Remember, for the full color ones, it was like we had to sell those things for like practically $10 for it to like make any sense.
I think they cost $10 to print, so it was like
Yeah.
15 or 20 to sell. That was kind of the thing. It's like print's sort of a dying thing,
Yeah.
and it's just expensive. At least if you want to do it like cool with full color. And yeah, I mean, unless it's like just like comparatively, no one's really gonna spend like $10 on a tiny little magazine. Um, or at least it's pretty hard to get people to pay for that. I tried not to be motivated by money either, uh, as like the goal. Um, and then like publishing it online, it's like cool, but it's not like a tangible thing, you know. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you want to like just be there, have a party, or get a high five. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like nobody gets an ebook. Like, you know, it's just not the same. I mean,
Yeah,
no one cares.
yeah.
But so while we're on this subject, like one question that I definitely wanted to bring up was like shooting all the skating and stuff. Was there like one particular photo or maybe a couple or something or a situation that you were just like, what the fuck did I just shoot? Like, how did that happen? Was there like any like favorites that you had or like moments that you were like, Brendan just did the craziest or whatever, you know? I don't know.
Um, yeah, there's probably a lot that I don't totally remember. This is slightly unrelated, but at one point when I had like some interesting experience, I would get a little like light glare in the photo, um, like a little angel orb. That
Yeah.
was oh, it's what I thought was cool, but um, yeah, definitely skating with Mike. Obviously, was my or our favorite thing, and he was just like crushing it at one point. Just like that time he ollied 20 stair first try, and I think my favorite photo I shot of him was like backlipping the foothill 10 stair. Um,
It's a 12, I think.
oh yeah, um, and there's some pretty good guys I skated with in slow. Um, just like grinding 20 stairs and switch front blending 10 stairs. But I think it's definitely more emotional when it's like your core friend. Like that was the thing with Mike and alling 20 stair. Like my hand was like shaking. I was like nervous for him. Like, Mike, I love you. Like, don't kill yourself. Whereas when it's like some other dude, you're just like, yeah, go for it, man. Like, I want to see you try it. Like, I hope you land it because that'll be cool. But it's different when you're like, no, please don't die.
Dude, that day, I don't even like that day. It's like it's almost like it's like a dream, a memory of a dream. That day, like we've never. I don't think we've ever went back to that 20 stair or anything. But like, I still remember just being like, all right, make sure there's fucking tape and its thing is rolling. You know, because you were up in the trees and I was like down by the car, like across the street, and like he had rode up to that thing like at least 50 times. You know. So it's like every time you're like, no, he's not. And then like the time he just actually ollied it, it was like, did that just happen? Like, it just seemed like we just hopped in his car and went home after. Like, I'm like, we didn't go out to Hooters. Like, what did we do after? I don't even remember, you know?
Yeah. I remember the drive home and we were all like super hyped. I think we were like, don't tell anyone until the premiere.
Oh, that's what it was. That's right. Keep it a
Yeah,
secret.
yeah, that was part of it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, that dude, it was totally like unplanned. Like most other people, like the time I shot my friend grinding the 20 stair, it was like he planned out that I was the photographer and we had to like go early in the morning when we wouldn't get kicked out. And it was like this huge like effort.
Yeah.
But with Mike, it was just like, no, that like that's looks like good. Like I think I can do it. And you're like, what? Like, no way. And you're just like standing there waiting and like, oh my God, I think he's gonna do it. And I'm like, is he gonna die? No.
I know.
Which yeah, I don't know. At that time, like that was like probably pro level. Like
Definitely.
there
Oh,
wasn't that many 20 stair ollies at that time, much less like first try. And
and
I don't
it's
know.
just
I
like a
kind of like those
top down like a
experiences in
set
life.
before. It's like
Yeah.
not an easy 20 to just ollie. Like there's this little the four stair before it too. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't think it was that wide of a set either.
yeah.
Um, but Yeah, that's kind of been a crazy thing in my life. I feel like I've witnessed these like most amazing things, and you're like, this should be like on the cover of Thrasher, but it's just like, oh, that was cool, and put
Yeah,
in the FGO video, I guess. Like, that's that.
it's so true. It's so true. The next memory I do have of like after that, it's the same summer we had the premiere, and then like when his part was on, and then he like did the like at the right at the very end, he like always the 20 stared for his end or whatever. That skate park blew up. Like I think people that didn't even know about skating were just like like just like because of the energy around them, because like the kids that knew about skating we were like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Like his
Yeah,
first trick was board sliding in 18. Like I thought he was gonna die that day too. And what I
yeah,
want to say about him is like, dude, just kicking it with him, he's so organic and like he brings out, I think for some reason, I don't even know if he knows this, but he brings out like people's gnarly fist. Like even just chilling with him in Tahoe and snowboarding and stuff, or like even in the summer one time we went up there, I think we had gone on a skate trip and like Tony was like, "Hey, I found this rope swing, you guys," and it was like a massive rope swing, and like maybe like 120 feet up on this hill into like Placer Lake or whatever, and like I remember just being like, "Oh, guinea pig it," and it's like I don't do shit like that if I'm not around Mike. I don't jump off 60-foot cliffs into water if I'm not around Mike. But Mike's like, I'll do it if you do it. And I don't know what it is about him, but he's like convinces you that you could do it too. Because it's like that dude does some magical shit. Like, even with his music and stuff, you're just like, this cat is talented. Like, why isn't he bigger, you know?
yeah. I definitely miss those times and like the high energy and people feeding off each other. And yeah, there's just something about skating where you can never recreate it too much or find it in other places. It's like what I was saying earlier, trying to dance more instead of skate, but it's still so different. Like there's like a massive risk factor with skating. There's none of that with dancing.
True. I mean, I've met some pretty like prolific graffiti artists at this point now, and like all of them have just been like, dude, no matter what you think about me, like this shit does not pay. It doesn't make your life any better. Like, stop. Like, do something else if you want those things. Kind of the same thing. It's just like this art form that's like, it's really, really appreciated by the people that understand it. But the rest of the world could kind of give a fuck less about skateboarding or graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
So give me a background on like, because we've talked a lot about dancing in your Grateful Dead experience. Like, where did that start? What's your story? What was your hook?
You, my brother,
Uh huh.
and Dan Berger for giving me those free tickets. Someone actually asked me the other night, they're like, what's your first show? And I was like, Further New Decade show.
Was it
That
New Year's show?
2009 New Year's.
We went. So your first show was a New Year's show at like because it was at Bill Graham then.
Yeah,
Whoa! What an awesome first show.
yeah. And then I think Further Fest was that year, later that year. That was pretty fun
Oh
too.
yeah. I remember I got
Um,
so high on acid there, dude. Like uncomfortably high. Like I think I was like in the tent for like several hours. Was like I could not be around any human beings.
yeah, there's some foggy memories from that. Um, okay, I was kind of thinking, I remember we like there was like a late night show with Bobby and Phil, and we might have snuck in. Like I feel like they would like charge for that nowadays or something, but I think we snuck in. I remember like standing like right next to him, and I was I was like early on in my um travels, um and I was just like, oh, that's cool, like they're right there. And um yeah, looking back, that seems like such a distant memory. But um, got into it that year, and then I think the 2010 New Year, I think Dan invited me, but I was like, oh no, and ended up staying at home in Pleasanton with my brother. We were just chilling. I got all stoned, and that night I found the Grateful Dead archive. And I remember just like listening to music because I hadn't like fully immersed myself into their live music yet. And but I like found it on the archive, and I remember it was just like, like I feel like I'd waited my whole life to like hear that music. Like I'd gone through so many bands like the Beatles and John Lennon and Velvet Underground, and it was kind of like sort of what I wanted. But then I was just like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. And then from then on, uh, just been trying to do as much as I can, not get too into it. But there's such a strong Grateful Dead culture here in Santa Cruz. It more or less like started here. They had the first acid test, and a bunch of old deadheads live here, and they've got like the archive at the UCSC library. So they have like all their history there in that library.
Mm.
And uh, Grateful Sunday just had their 4-year anniversary. So it's been like 4 years of Grateful Dead shows every single week. Um, we're like ridiculously spoiled. Matt Hartle is like my favorite Jerry, pretty much at this point. Like I like him more than John Mayer, and I don't know. I just like going to, small local community shows. Stadium shows are pretty cool, but um, just having a tight knit local scene, seeing the same people every week, it's been pretty amazing. And I've been saying like, I'm sure it was pretty awesome to tour with the Dead, but like, I don't even need to tour. They like play here for free like every week. Like I don't need to travel. I don't need to quit my job or like do any of that. Just
Right.
hang out and get down every week.
Yeah, I mean, you really took like a fish to water with the Grateful Dead, man. I mean, like you're way more into it than I am at this point. I mean, I love the Dead too. I mean, I grew up listening to it, and I really appreciate them, and have had amazing experiences at shows, and like even with you, I think like have you been to Terrapin Crossroads before?
I still haven't actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been there with a couple friends, and that place is really dope. But I know for a fact one time you and I were walking through SF, and we're like, "That's Phil getting his haircut," and like we totally were like, "Hey," and he was just like, "Hey, boys," that was it, you know. And it was just like that was crazy. That like totally made my whole day.
Yeah, must have been on tour in a past life or something.
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't make sense that I'm that into it, but I even try to like keep a little distance, but to a certain point it's like impossible. It's like magnet keeps like drawing me in more and more. Like now it's like all I do, partially because there's like nothing else happening,
Right.
but it's just like god damn, like
Uh,
12 hours. But
it's
uh
a great community though, just in general. It's like fun, and a lot of it's pretty conscious too, which is awesome. And I don't know, a lot to learn, a lot to see.
yeah, mostly older people. We gotta get more younger people into it. Hopefully you can like keep going after all the older people are gone, but I think there's a certain timelessness to it. And like I've always been like, dude, they're like the most American thing I can think of, like subtly.
Yeah.
No one else, it's not like immediate thing, but all kinds of people are into it. Tucker Carlson's been to over 50 Dead shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
like
funny.
that trips me out.
Huh.
Like I don't know. I guess bad things can happen with acid or whatever, but
Well, maybe because like TV personality like isn't his real self, you know. He just gets
Yeah, he's like an
feedback,
actor, I think.
an actor, yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's wild. That's what I'm saying. The dead scene is just like insane when you were like, so many different people are into it. Some people are like really mellow about it, you know, not wearing a bunch of tie dye and shit. But I don't know. It's fun. So like Grateful Dead, did that inspire you to pick up music, or were you already making music on your own before that?
Uh, yeah, I think I was playing guitar before that. Um, Definitely have like a strong calling of music in my life. Or like, um, I like to say my skill is listening to music. Like I can't really play it for shit, but I love listening to it, and I feel like I'm like good at listening to it. And especially now I'm learning with dancing, it's like channeling those feelings through physical form and like getting the energy out. Uh, and yeah, I've got pretty good record collection. I just really enjoy listening to like music I haven't heard before, which is kind of why I like the Dead so much. It's like always different, and it um, surprises you. Uh, can like get lost and scared, and then music finally breaks and you're feeling better again. It kind of pans all the human emotions within a single show.
Right. I was in I was in Chiang Mai at one point and was just walking down the street and you know we're on vacation mode, just kind of like putzing around, going to the night market, going to this bar, going to the reggae bar, smoking a joint, walking around some more, and we hear live music and there's just like this person nailing these Jerry riffs, and it's just like that's live, like that's somebody playing, like I can hear a fucking drum kit right there, you know, like we have to go in here. So we go in there and it's like there's these four Thai dudes and they're just playing like note for note Grateful Dead tracks, and it was just like on fire, like on fire.
Nice.
And they did some other like Beatles things and the same thing, just like exactly, just mimicking it beautifully. But it was just so powerful to be like in Asia and be like, that's Dead music. I don't even know what song that is, but I know that's Grateful Dead. You know, we have to go there. And like, I just remember like meeting the guys after and like giving them like, you know, whatever bot we had left in their tip jar and stuff, and just being like so impressed, like how they could memorize all this music. They didn't even really speak good English, but like they could sing all the lyrics, you know? So I don't know. It's really, really like something that is at this point. It is American for sure, but it's like it's out there. Like it's global. You know,
Yeah, yeah, definitely at this point.
like you can wear a
And
tie dye
it's
shirt over.
weird, like they haven't been playing for like 20 years, but it still feels like new and like fresh somehow.
Yeah. Do you like the John Mayer setup?
Um, I don't know. I've kind of been all over the place with it. At first, I did. No. Still there.
Yeah,
I got janky internet.
it's all good.
You still hear me?
Yeah.
You're in slow mo.
Oh
Oh,
shit.
motherfucker.
Hopefully
All
it's not.
right. Am I
But
back?
yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I got pretty janky internet. I thought this would happen at some point.
Okay. I'm also like out in our like shed to not keep my roommates up because it's so late. Oh my god, Sean, you got me up past my
Look,
bed.
it's still light out.
I know, I know. You West Coasters, like I'm working on some crypto stuff with my other friend in Seattle, and it's just like he doesn't hit me up till like 4 or 5 sometimes, you know. And it's like, dude, I'm on the couch watching TV at this point. Like I've been up since 6 a.m. working. Like, sorry you slept in and you're a West Coaster, but like the time difference, even it's 3 hours, makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's just funny. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd
thanks
rather
for
get
summing
up
up.
at like 6 a.m. on the East Coast and be done with work by 3 p.m. and, like just chill. But that's only noon for some people on the West Coast.
Yeah. Um, what were we talking about? I forgot what you asked.
Oh, if you were into the John Mayer setup.
Oh, um, I mean the bigger stadium shows are cool, so that's kind of like a an experience in itself. But I don't know if it's John Mayer so much, but just Bobby and like the drummer being pretty old. So his like plays so slow, um, which is the painful part. And I think it's kind of a little bit of a different crowd. It's the shows are kind of expensive sometimes, like $100. It's
Yeah.
like all these like Silicon Valley dad heads. It's like I don't know. I kind of like the grungy parking lot folk, but
Yeah.
uh, I mean, take what you get nowadays. That's what I was saying. I just like the our small little bar scene we got here, the dead dance because people just go there to dance. Um,
That's awesome. You're so lucky to have that, dude.
yeah, Dark Star Orchestra will be interesting. They're probably like the actual best cover band out there, maybe. Um, but I've been feeling a little underwhelmed by them. I think I've only seen them maybe once or twice or a few times, not in a while. Actually, like a lot of the dead cover bands have like gotten a lot better throughout COVID. Like I think musicians have just been like practicing
Yeah.
and they're probably like fucking itching to get back out there and like feeding off all the high energy again. So um yeah. Yeah, like I don't know, when I go to those shows now, I'm like, I can't tell if it's because I haven't partied in a year, but like this sounds like way better than before or like that I remembered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially when everyone else is all hyped. So
Yeah. I don't know. There's a couple guys that I make music with occasionally, and they're in a dead cover band as well, and they love it. Like that's their music they love studying the most, which is
yeah.
funny. Like they're not like none of them are actually like been to that many shows or anything. It's just like they just love the stuff. Like they just love to study that particular style of music because there's so much room to play in there.
Yeah. I don't understand why it's like not more popular. Like I think with the dead you're just like listening to like music. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like my favorite part aren't isn't when they're singing. It's like when it opens up until this like loose thing and you don't know where it's going and they don't even know where it's going and they just go where it feels good and they're
Right.
like feeding off the audience and back and forth and yeah, there's just not too many bands that can like open up to that like uncharted territory and are fearless enough to see where it'll take them. I mean, you have to be like pretty good to be playing that, obviously, but I'm sure. I hope something else like that comes around again in our lifetime. I don't see how it can't.
Yeah. It will. I mean, we can't just have like little Uzi Verts running around taking all the fame. I mean, they got to be have better music scene than that. I mean,
Yeah,
less the SoundCloud rappers, but like there's just so much more out there. But
yeah. Electronic music and like festivals are pretty cool. I guess that's the next closest thing for me. But
I agree, but like electronic music at a festival, I mean, it's cool, especially if you're like on the right drugs. But like it's not very impressive to see the guy up there with his laptop. I'm just saying.
yeah, exactly.
It's just like I wanted to see the guy on the drums and like the dude on the bass and the saxophone and like like I just love that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, how, I can't do any of that. Look at that. Look at how they're all doing that. How do they all do that? I can't do any of that.
Yeah.
Computer guy, I'm like, I mean, maybe I could do that. That looks
It's
feasible.
yeah. It's so hard to explain because you're like, why do I need to see him playing the guitar? Like, like
Right.
I don't know what chords he's playing or any of that, or he's
Or if
moving
he's
fast.
even playing, who knows?
Yeah. It's like Britney Spearsing it.
It's
It's
just like not even plugged in, yeah.
like, it's like all lip sync. She's like, what the fuck?
But honestly, dude, like when you say I don't know why people are not more into the dead, I feel the same way about crypto. I'm just like, it's like people just don't understand it and they're just like, I don't get it, not cool. And I'm just like, this is really important, pays me insane. You say you don't get it and you don't want to spend the time to learn. Okay, like fine. How many
Yeah.
other like douchebag millionaires are gonna watch just come up right in front of you because you were like, I don't want to take the time to learn crypto.
Yeah. They're like too abstract. They're like,
Yeah,
what do you do with the Bitcoin? Can you buy food with it? No. Oh,
right.
that's stupid.
I mean, the last time we talked, I think I was like telling you that I was getting pretty good rewards on one of my stakes. And the last meeting I had with August, my other partner from Seattle, he turned me on to this other thing. Dude, I moved like basically a lot of my assets into it. I'm getting $1,000 a day right now. Like
Yeah.
just money printer. And it's like it's not gonna last. Like this is just how people like raise capital. Like they give you a really high return rate because they're like really thankful that you can give you their money for a little bit. They can trade it on their algorithm, and they're just kicking you back rewards. But I mean, dude, $1,000 a day, Sean, just for parking $25,000 somewhere. Like, I think a lot more people should be doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Um, aside from like the money and returns part of it, what excites you the most about crypto, you know, other than the making money part?
I mean, the money part is awesome, but like all of these problems that I have issues with, like our voting system's not blockchain, for example. Like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, these are all centralized platforms. They're not decentralized. Like they're using the users as their product. And decentralizing information in general, I think is going to be really, really a big deal because that's going to allow things that are important to float to the top. Whereas right
Yeah.
now, if Zuckerberg or whoever's in charge says, hey, this is good information for Sean, but it's the kind of information that's going to want him to get off my platform, they'll block that post to your feed. Like they curate your experience on their platforms so much. And this has to do with like television, radio stations, Spotify, all of this stuff. People are having a curated experience of life by centralized platforms. And the only reason they're centralized is for them to like maintain control. When you're decentralized, everybody's voice is the same. And if you're just spouting off some schizo fucking manic shit, people will be like, you're crazy. No. But if you're like, hey, I have a concept, here's evidence, that will get upvoted to the top. And that's how I
Yeah.
think we'll get rid of fake news and things like that. Because it's like, hey, this is a good argument. It sounds like potentially fake news. Somebody can disprove it, and then it's kind of like the MMA of ideas, where it's like, hey, that dude just got that idea got knocked out in the second round. So like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think everything should be decentralized, like clearly everything. And we kind of have the power to do it at this point, or at least start moving in that direction. But yeah, I kind of got into Bitcoin a little bit for the first peak, and I definitely liked all the ideas of decentralization, and it was like, oh, take down the big banks, or like people with not a lot of money can set up bank accounts and stuff like that. But I never quite saw that pan out. I mean, people made like fat profits off it and all that, and that's obviously what drives people in. But I mean, part of it is probably because I'm not paying that much close attention to it, but I just wonder how it's like developing in that regard with the actual decentralization. Or I guess it's all kind of still in its like baby phases, or needs wider adoption to sort of like start to take some power back.
Yeah, I mean it's still in its infancy stage, you're right, but like a lot of these like questions and like things like that, you don't actually you aren't able to actually ask these types of like questions until you're in that position, right? So it's like if I wanted to buy a house right now, like I couldn't get it approved for a loan because I have bad credit, even though I have the money to buy the house outright, basically, But if I wanted to put down half of it and pay a mortgage, I could not do that because a centralized system is saying, hey, we don't trust this person. We don't know where his money comes from. He's no good to us because he doesn't fit into our little box. And with crypto, it's like, dude, I could just take a picture of a QR code and buy your house from you for $200,000. Nobody has to know about it. Like now you have the money, I have the house. We good. But it's like once you're in that predicament when you're like, I even have the money and I can't even spend it, you realize how controlled this system is. And like the system is controlled because people continue to participate in it. They continue to spend their time on Facebook. They continue to spend their time on Instagram. They continue to say, here, take all my data, Google. Like Venmo, all these platforms that we trade assets on, everything's monitored. And if you do anything that's like a little bit like different than you normally do, like you'll be red flagged, your account could be frozen. I mean, it's insane how monitored we are and we don't even really realize it. Like if I was just like, hey, I want to put $200,000 in my bank account right now, that would be frozen instantly for no reason. I didn't do anything illegal.
Yeah,
And that's not even that much money,
I
dude.
know. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I know. Decentralization is pretty important. Like in the news today, it's like Trump is like still banned from Facebook. It's just like, really? Like, what do you ever do on Facebook? Or like, um, I mean, the world is definitely a much better place since he's been off Twitter, but like, I feel like all the big tech companies just like piled on him. Like he lost his like Shopify store where he sells shirts, and it's just like, how are you really spreading hate through there? Or it's kind of like you don't really think big tech would ever just cancel you, but it is possible. And um, yeah, it's funny because I'm like trying to stay off Facebook, and as soon as I start trying to do that, I have to like run it for my company now. So now I see all like the business side of it, and it's like such a fucking scam, man.
Yeah.
Like we have like 13,000 followers on it, and like guess how many impressions just one of my average posts of people will see. And like impression probably just means like someone like scroll past it super quick. Like it'll get like 50, like they'll show it to 50 people, which is like less than a half a percent. Like our company did all this work to get like 13,000 likes, and they're just only going to show it to like 50 people for whatever their reason is. But then right above that, like, hey, want this shown to 180 people, give us $10. And like, I mean, $10 isn't that much to a company, but like, what the fuck? Like now I have to pay you for you to like show it to my followers that like I earned. Um, yeah, it's frustrating.
Point and case, my friend. Point and case. But
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, they're like Facebook is worth over $500 billion, and like you can't do basic shit on it, or like Instagram, like you can't post uh different cropped images, or like I was trying to post a story today and you can like have music play for one of them, but the video is like 4 things long and it just won't play all the way through. Like, what?
yeah. TikTok, I'm saying, just saying, more options, more editing effects, better, cooler platform. But I mean, Facebook owns Instagram. It's the same thing. Like, it's
Yeah,
literally owned by Amazon, Google, and Facebook own a majority of social media in the internet right now.
yeah,
But I mean, there's
yeah.
options out there. Just like people don't, dude, they do not want to switch. Like, there was an argument that one, I say argument, but like there was a point that you brought up one time to me that was like, I don't know. You were probably driving me home to like Burger Mansion. Remember the like the Dublin house or something? And then like you were like, my dad works at Google and he does pretty well. And like he's like, you're like, we're the 1%. Like, like if you took the population of planet Earth, like we qualify to like this major like blessed group, right? And it's like the problem isn't really like the 1%. Like that was a good like Occupy like billboard, kind of like pitchfork flat, rock your sign statement. But it's like the problem is like the point like 1%, like the uber elitist rich. Like this 1% window, that's a lot of people that lived in Pleasanton. And that's right there is like it's just a pissing match. It's like if you just lived there and drove a Volvo, great. Other people got a BMW for their 16th birthday. They're still in that same window. They're not like, you know, children of like major bankers or anything like that. But like you're in that top percent of the planet Earth that has a lot of power, that walks around really blind and is like, hey, I'm going to freely give all my information away to Google and Facebook. And it's like, that's who they want to control is this 1% pocket. They don't give a fuck about the rest of the people on planet Earth at all. In fact, they're giving them free phones in those countries with Facebook on them so they can start watching them. They're paying for their internet because they have so much bounty off like harvesting our data. Because like the way we trend, the 1%, like the next Beanie Baby or Doji Coin or whatever that we decide is valuable, like they want to know about it. And they're going to study us until we decide whatever the next tulip is. And to me, that's like, that is like, I don't really care about the money anymore, dude. Like the first time I had 20 grand in a couple different crypto accounts, I was just like, I don't, I don't even know what to do. Like, I don't have to work. I can buy whatever I want every day. I don't really care, but I do care about like the data that we put out and letting people know that like, hey, depending on the platform, these platforms aren't necessarily your friend. And like it sounds really silly to be on Instagram saying, "Get off Instagram. Get off Instagram." Like nobody wants to hear that when you're on Instagram. But like really, that makes a huge difference. And if like they lost 50% of their users overnight for some reason from like millennials or Gen Z, that would make waves for sure. Like it would definitely change how we start living and talking to each other and exchanging data, especially if we went more towards encryption, using Brave instead of Google Chrome, using Signal instead of text messaging. Like there's all these other platforms out there ready, but people have to like make the switch. It takes a second. You have to download an app, you have to figure it out. It's a pain in the neck, but then you do it. Like it doesn't really these platforms aren't hard to learn.
Yeah, yeah, we're the cherry on top of the shit pie out here. But yeah, you talking about that reminds me of when I was working in for the Bernie campaign, just all the inspiration, and it's like, oh, it feels like we're like right on the edge of like a major transformation, and you're kind of like, come on, everybody, like there's room for all of you, and but everyone's just like standing on the side, like, maybe, and
Yeah.
like, no, we really need you, but um, yeah, it's hard to get there. Maybe
It's
one day it will.
it's to me, Sean, to me this is exactly like that. Like I have friends that are like really big in like the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff, and obviously like they're African American or black, whatever, mixed. And it's just like I support them, but in my heart I'm like I don't genuinely know the experience or the pain that you're going through. Like I don't want to discredit it. I think it's valid, but I don't actually feel it, you know? And like you with like the Bernie campaign, it's like to me, it never called to me to be like, this is my fight. Not like I'm against it. I'm like, that sounds rad. You guys are talking a language that I don't really understand politics, you know, to a certain extent. Like beyond just Trump's a Republican and Biden's a Democrat. Like I really don't understand the government to the level that a lot of people that you know, like yourself and other people that work on these campaigns do. And then in this arena, I'm like, oh, I actually do understand data. I do understand the internet, the you know, the dark net, like all these different options and the ways that you can use computers as human beings. I really do understand that. And this is why I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick my fight and this is it. You know, like to me this is just as important as all these other avenues as well. But I only want to sit in my arena that I'm like familiar with because it would seem like kind of forced if I went out and was like picketing for Biden. Like I'm like I don't what the fuck am I even doing? Or like you know any of the other movements like I'm aligned with them. I just it's I'm aware that it's like you can pick your you should not you should like you got to pick like fights that you're like ready to fight for, you know? Because there's like something inside you that
Yeah.
want to go and volunteer for that campaign, and there's something inside me that makes me want to wake up and every day get on 4chan, start talking shit, get information, start spreading it to the right people. Like I love that stuff, dude. I genuinely do.
Yeah. It's a lot more powerful to kind of go with whatever your talents are, wherever your expertise is. I think it's definitely important to like stand in solidarity, um, people when it's important, and that doesn't mean you have to work with them or donate them money. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just like listen. It seems like you're doing nothing, but just listening and empathizing with other people is a powerful thing. um, and yeah, just focus your energy where it's the most effective. Like you can't there's like too many causes to be involved with nowadays. There's too many problems, and you can't solve them all. You don't want to spread yourself thin, so better focus on them and be a bodhisattva like you and I are, and dedicate our lives to ending the suffering for all beings, and just standing there as a witness, and yeah, just fighting for every last person that
Easier
is
said than
oppressed
done, my
and
friend.
suffering.
Easier said than done. Sometimes, I mean, I don't know.
No doubt, it ain't easy.
No, no, it's not, and I don't think we're gonna get off this planet alive, unfortunately. But like that's cool because literally like when I found, I guess like what I've been telling people is like when I found my battle station, if you will, it's like I was just like, all right, I'm in, strap me in. And like it's been super rewarding. I've literally like pissed off a lot of people and like lost some friends over it, but at the same time I'm like, these weren't actually my friends in the first place. You know, like these are people that were
Yeah.
like, wait, no, you're this definition that I have of you, and this is how you treat me, and you only speak to me in this way, and you aren't really supposed to call me out on my bullshit ever. And it's just like, nope, sorry. I'm sorry I said some things that like were triggering, but they were also true, you know? Like people do not like to say
Yeah.
get off Instagram. Like if you're really not on it and you're just like that shit's whack as fuck, blah 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 blah, and then they're just like, I love Instagram. This is how I feel better about myself, you know? Like don't tell me to stop doing it. But you know, it's really like you said, it's a scam. It's a complete scam.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to my coworker today and she's like, oh, I've been really kind of been like flexing my boundaries on people recently, and I feel like maybe I've been like scaring them away. But we're like, yeah, but those were the people you wanted to scare away.
Hmm.
Like, you need to have boundaries and you need to speak your truth. And yeah, not every single person out there is gonna take it kindly, but that's due to their own uh, shortcomings, and it's just a really important time to get the truth out and try as hard as we can to fix all these problems we've got, because might not be that much time left to fix them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm always kind of like an optimist, so I feel like I want to believe in like a positive future. But I mean, who knows, man? You know. Also, like
I know I
becoming a
used to
realist
be
at
an
the same
optimist.
time.
Yeah, that was what my magazine was like centered around, was optimism.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, after this year, it's been pretty tough to stay optimistic. But what else are you gonna do? Nothing left to do but smile, smile, smile.
That's right. That is so true, dude. That is so true. I used to date Katie, and she was like real into the Dead, her and her mom. And she had this like old t-shirt from her mom and it said that on there, like nothing left to do but smile, 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 with some dancing bears on it or something. But I just was always like, that's so brilliant. Like, you know, a lot of that, you were saying that your favorite part isn't when they're singing, but like some of Robert Hunter's lyrics are just, to me, it's like Shakespeare sort of, you know? It's like it's almost like a mantra.
Yeah,
That's real easy to do and kind of makes me feel a little better the second I listen to it and actually engage in smiling, you know?
yeah,
Because really, what is
yeah,
there else to do?
yeah. I know. I just said that because I had to like sing that to myself while I was walking to pick up my broken ass car today. That's like still not fixed. I don't have a window on it right now. I haven't had a window all week, which means I like can't go anywhere in town because it's just like a mobile free pile for
Yeah.
like
What are you still
person on the
driving the
street
Altima?
in San Francisco. No, like 2 years ago, I sold that and bought a Volvo XC70.
Oh,
It's like a
nice, nice.
station wagon.
Yeah, yeah. Where
Um,
those are supposed to last
uh,
forever.
yeah, but it's like a 2008, which I thought was good. It's kind of like my acceptable level of technology, but now it's like at the age, like it for the most part, it like drives fine and everything, but there's just got like so many electronic sensors and there's like all failing, and then like it's just hell of expensive to like replace that. And like today I had to like turn off, no joke, like 5 emergency warning things that like came across the screen.
Oh,
Just like Fucking A, man. It was
Damn.
like a coolant thing is that sensor failed, and the windshield wiper thing is leaking, so it thinks it's always low. And now my door is like half taken apart, and they're like, the door's open and the airbag isn't working, and it's just
Damn.
like, ah.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting era of car because it's like they're like kind of have computers in them, but they're like really shitty. It's like having like
Yeah,
dial-up internet. It's like that's kind of internet, but not really.
yeah. Mine doesn't have one of the screens yet, which I'm glad, because probably until like 2015 they like thought screens were like cool at that point, and they're like, wow, look, it's got maps on it.
Yeah,
And it's just like, yeah, but everyone's fucking phone does now too. And like,
right. I know even driving the Teslas, it's like the screen to me is it's like it seems outdated already for somehow. Like it's already outdated somehow. Like the
yeah,
interface that they have in there. It's like it's shitty. I don't understand it. It's like the cars are cool, they look sleek, they're fun to drive. The interface in there, it's like it just seems old instantly. Like I don't know.
yeah.
I guess I wanted to just like float and hover in front of my face or something and just like tap into my brain and know where I want to go. But like you still have to
I
like
think I'm like the opposite, dude. I'm like a just old school person. Like the car at my work is kind of new, and it's got like the push button start. And like I'm always like, where's the air conditioner knob? There's no knob. Like, where's the button? And
uh-huh.
like, why is there just whatever happened to a fucking button? What was wrong with the button? Or like the car key with the start, like when it doesn't start, I know what to do, but when like you just press a button, it doesn't do anything. You're like, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
I'm like taking the mechanic and he knows it. And then you're like $500 in the hole.
Yeah, see that's why I do gravitate towards the Teslas. For one, like the maintenance is practically zero on them. But then for two, like the other thing is it's almost like the like if you've never driven one, then you don't get it. But it's like those cars drive themselves. Like they're way fucking safer than regular cars. For sure. I feel uncomfortable riding with most people
Yeah,
now after driving those cars. And the second thing is like it's kind of like the vax. It's like if you don't believe in the vax, whatever. But like we're all getting it. Like just fucking get it so it's over, you know? And like then it's done. Like once everybody makes the switch to the vax, it's going to open up the country a lot more, you know? And we're like I think I looked at the numbers with my roommate yesterday. We're like 30% there as a country. Like people having taken at least one of the two shots. So it's like it's getting there. But the same thing with these cars where it's like if everybody switches to EVs and they get on like a self-driving app, like that's going to be way safer. And like I kind of want to like, you know, vote that way if I want to like be on the road again or whatever, you know?
yeah.
Like just kind
Well,
of be like,
Tesla
hey,
got like a
I'm like
bunch
not
of
even
like,
buying the Tesla for myself. I'm buying it, literally buying it for other people around me because I'm a shitty ass driver. You know, like I'd rather have the car drive than me.
yeah. Well, Tesla got like a bunch of pushback for like years. Like they couldn't sell them in like Texas. I think it was just like straight up Texas wouldn't allow that. Obviously, because they had like such a strong oil lobby there, and it was like the only car where you can sell direct to consumer or something. But they were just like fighting against a bunch of bullshit for a while. Um,
Well,
which
now
it
Tesla's
seems like they,
in Texas.
yeah, now they've been like they've like moved past that.
Hmm.
But how much are like the cheapest ones now? It's like 35,000 or something.
Um. Yeah. So if you want to get the cheapest one, brand new, with the like, if you want to get it brand new without the app, the Plaid app, the self-driving app, costs $10,000. The software. Right. I mean, I'm just like, it's kind of shitty. So if you want to just buy it without that, you can get one for 30 grand. Just the most basic thing, which is dope. I think that's reasonable. I really think that they need to put out a motorcycle, and they need to put out something that's like around 12 to 15,000, like just something that's like kind of, I don't know. Like most people don't need to drive their car 300
affordable.
something miles, a day. Like most people, 150 miles on a little battery. It's like kind of like a little Civic version. I'm really looking forward to that, or like the motorcycle. But yeah, you can just go upwards from there. And then you can also get used too. Like there's some really good deals on eBay, particularly. And you can look at like the mileage and
So,
whatnot. There's stuff that's like it's used. It's yeah, I mean, you can definitely get something decent for 30 to 40 for sure. I mean, it's still a
yeah,
chunk of change, but
I've tried finding them on Craigslist, but it doesn't seem like they have any. I'm not an Elon Musk fan though. I kind of hate him to be honest, but I would have that amount of respect for him if he just put out a super cheap or affordable one. Because that's actually what Henry Ford did. That's what the Model T was. He like designed a car where like all the factory workers that would all work on the line, like he designed that car to be affordable for them.
right.
And that's kind of like where the uh, average consumer automobile began from. So someone's got to do that with an electric car. I mean, maybe there kind of are. Teslas are badass. They're just like luxury cars, though, kind of at this point. And
It
it's
and they're
nice.
supposed
I
to be.
want one, but it's like I'm not gonna have one for probably a while.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, they're that's the thing is they're not aiming to be the low end type, like I'm pretty sure some other company will come out with something that's like much more reasonable. And they already are doing it.
Yeah.
Like Kia, I think Kia's from South
This
Korea.
is the
They're
richest person in the world. He's like got his own space program, so it's just kind of like, come on, man.
yeah. I don't yeah, I get maybe he is. I mean, doesn't Bezos have a space program too?
Yeah, fuck is with that. That's so weird.
The richest
Two
people on
richest
this
people in the
planet are just
world.
trying to leave the
It's like,
planet immediately.
yeah, they must know something we don't.
Dude, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so much crazy information out there. Like, what do you think about aliens?
Um, I don't know. I mean, obviously, alien life exists, but
What do you mean, obviously? Like,
just by the odds.
okay,
Uh,
right.
and what was I gonna say? I mean, it's starting to get like pretty obvious that there's been like well documented UFO phenomenon that like the CIA has been putting out, and that's I guess only within the few recent years. Um, and so based on that, I guess they're thirdly visiting us. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're up to. I do like to entertain myself with the Men in Black theory that they're like
Oh, like here, but like undercover.
some fucking like Mitch McConnell. I'm like, dude, that guy's not me fucking too small. Uh,
Right, right.
and this, people bent on destroying the planet. On it. Um,
Yeah.
and they might have been held um, and it is.
That's it. He's out. Talking about aliens. Kicked him off the podcast. Hopefully, Sean will come back and we can wrap. But until then, it's just me and you guys. What is happening? What do you guys think about aliens? Hit that like, subscribe. Give me your alien opinion in the comments. Shout out to Westkill for, look at this, Saison. Absolutely delicious. Great work, you guys. Loving it. Let's see if I can get Sean back here on the show. Thank you for checking out Pirate Utopias. We fucking love you. Check out this hair, too. I was wanting to go pink, but first you have to go blonde, I guess, before you can go pink. It's weird to be live on YouTube solo. You know, not very interesting. But here we are. Let me check out the, let's check out the viewers. How live are we? Sean's internet is fucked. Oh. He's back.
Told you that was gonna happen.
No, you know what it was? It was like you were saying CIA, aliens, like UFOs, all those key words, and they just booted us.
I know. I was going on the best fungus is alien rant there.
Damn. See, that would have been that would have been like the little 5-minute clip we could have made, you know, just like Sean explains alien fungus theory.
Yep. Now we'll never know.
Yeah, damn.
We'll never know.
I'm curious to see what the recording came out like, because sometimes like the recordings of these is actually pretty solid, even though like it gets glitchy. So we'll see.
Yeah. I know my internet's weird. It'll be all right, and then it just needs to like eat shit for like a minute.
Aren't
And
you
then
like
it's like, all right, I'm back. What?
Aren't you like stealing it from somebody else?
Yeah. So whenever a car parks in my driveway, it like takes a dump.
Funny. But like, so I've seen videos where it's like some people are saying there's like 4 different alien races that use this planet for like experimentation with like human monkey oids and the combination of inserting a tiny bit of their DNA into monkeys, and then there's other things that are saying that there's pyramids on Venus and Mars that have been discovered. Fucking pyramids? Are you kidding me? Like that's that's like the oldest shit that we have here. Like what is going on, you guys?
Yeah. Well, I'll continue my rant now. I like thinking that a fungus is like some much higher form of intelligence and has been like shaping life on this planet the entire time. Because like Paul Stamets works with NASA, and basically the first thing you would do to terraform a new planet would be to use mushrooms to like break down like all the rock and soil and make these nutrients available, and basically grow the life ecosystem from there, because that's actually what it's known to do in like a forest. And pretty much every plant has a symbiotic fungus that it lives with, and they're just known to like be able to like distribute nutrients throughout the ecosystem, and like they say trees can communicate through like the wood wide web. And I mean, I'm a pretty strong believer in the stoned ape theory that um, psychedelics mushrooms played some sort of role in developing consciousness in human beings, because I mean, first off, they like grow all around the world. They were definitely growing around the time that humans like came out of the trees and onto the plains. And so like they're definitely in the same habitats, and like humans would have like came across them. And I mean, if you've ever experienced them, like I don't see how modern or ancient humans wouldn't have liked them. It makes you more kind of like perceptive and into your community, and kind of just makes you more better leaders, like Paul Stamets says. Um, and I mean, humans are so obsessed with humans because we have brains and tools and technologies, but what if maybe that's not what it's all about? Like, there's other higher forms of intelligence, of like, because they're kind of, mushrooms are kind of like running things like behind the scenes.
So what would you say, like obviously you've had some experience with psychedelics. What do you think is like a healthy relationship with that? Because it's not, to me at this point, like I mean being nearly 33 years old now, I'm like it's not something I want to be like, "Oh, you've never tried it? Here." You know, like it's just like to me people that are like, "Oh yeah, I'm down, like I'm good. I'm want to hang out with those people and like trip with them or whatever." But like I don't want to press it on anybody cuz some people are so like rigid about saying like no, I don't take a mushroom or like a tab of LSD. Whereas like maybe to like me or you, I'd be like, hey, we're going to a dead thing. Here's a handful of mushrooms. Let's just see what happens. Like, what do you think a healthy relationship is with those chemicals?
Um, I mean, I guess the same relationship when it comes to anything really. Uh, Not getting too dependent, or I mean, you can't really get addicted to them, but yeah, I guess just dependent. And like they say, once you get the message on the phone, like hang up the phone. Or once you like seen through the doorway, then you know it's there. Like you don't need to stay on the other side of the doorway. That's when you like fall too deep in the rabbit hole. But I think people just get so locked into their rigid view of reality and mindset, and they just get so kind of like materialistic and like this is this and always this. And those things kind of just like blow that into a million pieces, and which I think is an important message now, you know, um, just because we need to find new ways of thinking and being and living in this world. Um, and it's not to say that everyone needs them, but I think it's kind of an experience everyone should maybe knows out there or experience themselves, because you can only hear about it so much, I guess, but experiencing it is a whole different thing.
So you're like, are we in the same camp? Like, like I've done this before where I've like pushed it on people, like, oh, try this. This will make you have a fun time, and that's like It's worked out sometimes, but then there's other times where that's completely backfired, and it's just been like, really wish I did not make this suggestion to this person, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I know it's kind of hard to say sometimes or who needs what, but I guess it sucks because there's been like a ban on researching it, and we really have no idea how they work or what they're good for. I think that's the other thing is like, you know, everyone always associates those drugs with like partying or like having a good time, but there's tons of different settings that you can use it for, and it's going to be different for each person anyway, depending on what problems they're dealing with or what areas they're looking to expand. I like the quote that it's like medicine for healthy people to make better people,
Mm.
um, which, yeah, it's like you really only think of medicine healing you from something that's causing you problems, but I think everyone needs to become a better person when they're good or like become the best person they can be, which doesn't even mean you're going to arrive at a certain place, but just walk that path in a better direction. Um, and so yeah, hopefully some of the research helps and decriminalization will be a big part of it, opening up the doors for new possibilities and treatments. Um, so we'll see.
Dude, you covered some ground in this episode. You went space, alien, UFO, and then like philosophical, back to skating and photography. Man. So
I
before we wrap this
wear
up, like,
many hats.
yeah. So, what's next? Like, where are you at? Are you sitting in the unknown right now? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, super unknown. My life's kind of been melting down this whole pandemic, for better or for worse. And I've been saying my life's been like a shithead emoji kite in a windstorm attached to a toothpick. So not quite sure what happens next, but um, trying to feel all right about it and just find a kind of inner groundedness to wherever, whatever happens. Um, I'll just have to make the best out of it. And been getting really into Buddhism lately, so finding spiritual center um, helps through times like that.
Totally. Have you looked at the because you like Tibetan Buddhism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a website you could check out called prayerflags.com, and then uh, you click on Naga days. Have you ever worked with like a Naga before?
No.
So this is a little treat. I'll leave you with this. Nagas are they're super cool. They appear in the ayahuasca culture, in like Hindu culture, and in Buddhism. So it's one of these weird things, kind of like the pyramids, where it's like everybody has these things called Nagas. What the fuck? Why? You know, and they're like these human. They're basically humanoid snake beings. So it's like they have a human form, but then they kind of have like all these arms or like Medusa type hair that are like these snake beings. And Nagas basically, supposedly, according to Tibetan Buddhism, they guard knowledge and they live in a dimension that's right parallel to ours. Like they never are born, they can never die, but they can't do certain physical things. And where they live typically is like around areas where there's flowing water. Like, so it's like a river or a pond or like a lake. I don't know about the ocean. It's usually like just fresh, clean water. And you look on these calendar days, and there's 4 different degrees. Like there's all different types of days. And anytime that you see a day on the calendar with a star on it, you can go and make an offering to them. And then when you make an offering to them, you basically say like there's different chants, different mantras you can do. The most basic one that I use all the time is like the Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, like some basic thing just to like let them know that you're like interacting with them. And then you go and feed them, and you only feed them white things like rice, milk, butter, yogurt, only things that are white, because basically what you're doing is honoring the purity of the water. And they love that. They love getting fed. And the other thing they really love is when you clean up trash from their area. And so they since they're in the they live in our dimension, but they physically can't like engage on our plane. So it's like they can't clean up trash, they can't get food. But if you give it to them, they can receive it, especially if you like do it on this day in particular. And on a day where the calendar isn't marked for a naga, you should not like disturb them because they go to sleep. And so it's only on these specific days. And I learned all this from Bob Thurman. And especially like we just had one, I think it was 2 days ago. On the third was like a 4-star naga day. If you start working with them, you really have to hit them up on the 4-star days. Basically, like those are the only days that matter. All the other ones are just like little extra bonus points. But the blessings that you get from the nagas are insane. Like they give you wisdom, intelligence, like so much power if you start messing with them. And I don't know, I just wanted to share that with you. Like maybe you could check it out. Look up
Yeah,
Naga.
that sounds awesome. I've
Yeah.
never heard that. I do most of that already. I always pick up trash when I go out hiking, and I
Then
live by a river, and that's what my job is, purifying water.
yeah, totally. They're probably like can't wait to see you, and like they're like we've been waiting for you for eternity. But so
Yeah.
lastly, the last thing about a naga like feeding that is super important, and a lot of people I think like can get kind of like it's almost like blowing your hand off with like a firecracker, because it's like such an exciting energy once you realize how like real this is. Because I mean Bob is a master with the nagas, and his daughter is just like, oh, Uma Thurman, like, oh, friends with the Dalai Lama, like, just like, yeah, this guy's tapped in, But like when you work with these types of energies, some people can kind of blow their hands off with the firecracker metaphor because it's so powerful and you're so excited about it, and you're just like, I want to do magic and I want to start practicing it now. But what's really important is like, let's say you went out and you wanted to feed the naga for your first time. Great, you're ready, you're doing your mantra, you're ready to go. Then you have to draw a circle in the dirt where you're going to put the food, and then you have to draw another circle in the dirt with like with a stick or something around it. And that's it. That's like the only thing. But that represents to the naga that like you've entered a circle that you're going to feed it in, and this is a circle that they can come into. But then there's that bigger circle around it, which is like, hey, that's your spirit circle. You can't come in here. You can only come into this small one. So it's like you're making the offering, you're opening up the donut, and then you're closing the donut, being like, yo, this is my donut. Don't be eating my donut. You can come into the middle of it. You can be in the donut hole and receive, but you cannot come into this one. And that's where some people go crazy, like literally, when they start doing magic, they don't like protect themselves properly.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta do a lot of work to be on the right path and have the right intention, I think. And if you don't, it'll kind of like come back to bite you in the ass. That is one thing I like about Tibetan Buddhism, like all the like scary looking demons in the paintings and stuff. They're like still on your side. Like they're like like I have this one, and he's like riding through a river of blood. And there's like all these like limbs like falling off him, but he's like slaying all the delusions and like all the hatred out of like everyone's hearts. And
Mm,
he wants to help you. He wants to like say your demons, but if you go about it the wrong way, you might lose some limbs.
for sure. I mean, working with energetics and spirits is it's powerful stuff, man. It really is.
Yeah.
I've definitely lost my mind, like not
Yeah,
being careful with it for sure.
yeah.
Sent me into some manic episodes, but just learning,
Important to
just
stay
learning.
grounded.
Yeah, still
Yeah,
learning.
we're all
Yo, this is
walking each
rad.
other home.
I mean, this is 2 hours plus your 1 minute break.
Nice.
You got any more like tales from the crypt you want to get off your chest?
I do a little bit because I've been diving into it during the pandemic, and that's Graham Hancock's work with ancient civilizations, that he thinks there's been civilizations uh, before the end of the last ice age, which was kind of what you were talking about earlier with the pyramids and stuff. And he works pretty closely with this geologist, Randall Carlson, and like basically the human brain hasn't really evolved for like the past 250,000 years. So like the humans walking around then were basically like the same as you and I, or at least the same brain capacity, um and like uh body, I guess. And but really, our our written history only goes back what, a few thousand years, but um, most of the history we know of goes back only to 11,000 years, which is at the beginning of the end of the last ice age.
Hmm.
And basically, what his theory is was that there was some civilizations around before then, but the Earth did kind of go into a little ice age, but some comets hit the top of the Earth, like on top of the ice sheet. So that's why there's no huge impact crater from it, but it like hit the ice sheet, which causes like rapid melting, which is kind of what Noah's flood is. And uh, and like most civilizations creation stories kind of start with some sort of big flood. Even the Native Americans arriving on the back of the turtle and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, and and so that was like a big impact event. And the way Randall Carlson explains it is like, um, if you have some huge disaster that destroys one major city, like that's pretty easy to recover from. But just do another order of magnitude that destroys 10 major cities. Like, could we bounce back from that? Yeah, probably, but it might be like pretty difficult. And then one more magnitude could destroy 100 major cities across the world. Like, could we bounce back from that? Like, probably not really. And especially now that everything's like on computers, as soon as we don't have electricity, we're like basically like done for. Like, no one has anything memorized anymore. um like, we'd be pretty screwed after that. And so Randall Carlson lays out like there's basically been 11 of that third order magnitude disasters across the past like 250,000 years. So that means like there's these like tiny windows. Like, our society has only been around for what, 10,000 years, or maybe even like 2,000, really, you could say. Um, and so it's kind of like each time humans, I think, started developing a civilization or technology, like it kind of just got like whacked back to nothing, and you had to start over. So he has all these like examples to prove that, like basically the weathering on the Sphinx, that they say it's 5,000 years old, but there's some weathering on there that like clearly indicates it's been around a lot longer than that. And like it all adds back up to that they actually built it around 11,000 years ago. And just other sacred sites around the world, because Sphinx is also like astronomically aligned to constellation Leo, and I think same with Angkor Wat, basically indicating that they're like constructed to sort of like reflect the stars on a ground level, but when you like back calculate it, it's like stars were in that um, like formation around 11,000 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, and Graham Hancock doesn't go into that much explanation of like who or what was around then, like maybe Atlantis. But like at the same time, like the sea levels like changed greatly through that time. So if it flooded, you know, we're not just gonna stumble upon it. And Graham Hancock is just a cool ass dude. He's got like probably the world's coolest job, because he's like spent time doing that, like scuba diving these like ancient ruins, like pyramids under the sea. Like there's some off the coast of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anyways, to wrap that up, I like when the pandemic first started, or like whenever I get bummed out by climate change, I'm like, oh, we're kind of just like carelessly destroying the world, and it's so sad. But at the same time, there is kind of only these like tiny windows to like make stuff happening, and you know, I guess this is what we've chosen done. This time, it's like that we're destroying it. I'm healthy, detached from the outcome or feeling too of um like it's a big mistake, but more so that um you know, it's all good. We're all blessed with this tiny time we have on this earth, and it's always coming and going and changing, and it's never going to be the same because nothing ever stays the same. So I may as well enjoy it while I can.
Yeah, dude. Damn. Way to blow the lid off the whole show right at the end there.
That rant was dying to get out, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. No, I now I got some questions. I'm just like, geez. But I align with those theories too. Like, there's just so much. There's so much to this planet and this life that's like, I don't know. The history books don't really seem to be all that legit to me anymore. You know, stuff like this.
Yeah,
That's fascinating to me.
yeah. They're all just so inadequate, and I feel like rich, or I mean, the human experience is so much more rich and complex than whatever can be boiled down into a history book. And I mean, it just doesn't make sense that this past 10,000 years, like this is like the only thing good that humans have ever made, when
Mm,
it's like what happened during the other 250,000 years, like past 10,000 years, that's like what, like a percent of that. And it's just like, oh yeah, we're just like caveman and like living in caves. But there's been like fat periods throughout that of like 20,000 years where it was like things were like stable, and um I'm sure something developed back then. But
sure, for
but
sure.
the
I
other
mean, like,
thing is like,
Egypt was developed. Egypt was like a poppin' society at one point. You know.
yeah, um but and yeah, Graham Hancock also says like if there were to be a disaster now, it's like who would survive? It'd be like the indigenous people that like know how to live off the land, and they like have all their knowledge like memorized because they've like spent their whole lives memorizing it. Us, we're like, oh, there's like no electricity, I can't turn on my phone, like how do you start a fire again? Like we're gonna be toast.
Oh,
And but anyway, so then like the people that seed the next civilization is like the hunter gatherers, and that's supposedly what Göbekli is. It was like a transfer of knowledge, and like same thing with the pyramids, which we don't know what it like still to this day what they really are.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably because it was like a whole another frame of knowledge that was around back then that we just probably don't even think is important anymore out of our own like egotism.
Dude, we got to get you on Ancient Aliens next.
I know.
Göbekli Tepe is like, that's some wild shit too, man. That is just, I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
cases like that though. You know, Atlantis, these pyramids underwater, pyramids all over the world, pyramids on other planets. Just like, what is going on? I feel like I'm missing a big piece of this puzzle, you know?
Yeah.
It's cool that those people are out there doing that research and that like you're so into it as well.
Yeah. We get like a ridiculous amount of blowback for it, which is a whole interesting thing in itself. Like you think science would just like speak for itself, and like once you find some evidence and be like, all right, yeah, looks like it pans out, but that's the whole thing. They're like, no, there was no human culture around past 10,000 years. So whatever you find resembling human culture that's like older than 10,000 years must just be wrong.
Hmm.
Like you're silly for even suggesting that. So he gets like ridiculed the whole time, but he's just like, no, just consider it. Just consider it. And all the evidence is starting to really back what he's saying. And I think it's starting to change, but um, just to see the kind of stagnation in science, kind of a bummer. But that's because a bunch of people got their careers built in their fixed mindset,
Yeah.
so they're not flexible to consider anything else.
That's a whole nother topic we could get into is like higher education and the people that are tenured in there just like promoting ideas that it's just their own philosophy. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right, but it's indoctrinating a lot of people that are paying a lot of money for those schools, you know. Woo!
Yeah.
Man. So what do you got? I mean,
Burn your ears off yet?
no, I more have to pee more than anything else. So if you want to
Me
hang on the
too.
show and be live by yourself, I had to do it for you. But it depends. I honestly just have to pee like insane right now. We've been 2 hours solid, so
Yeah.
that's usually about the time that I do the PU episodes for. But
Nice. Yeah. I'd say we could call it good here. Should get some dinner. Should get some sleep.
yeah, it's practically sunrise here. Jeez. I got a yoga class at 9 tomorrow, so I should get some sleep. That's a good call.
Nice.
And I hope you eat well. I wish I could buy you dinner, dude. I miss you. I miss your physical being.
I know. Miss you too, man.
Yeah, maybe this summer we can connect or something.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks for being on the show and stay awesome. Don't work too hard and keep dancing.
You too, brother.
And I don't know,
Thanks
maybe
for
like
shining your light.
come up with some little zine or something, some little packet we can support and promote. I'd be down. Some
There you
positivity
go.
packet.
Yeah.
Just call it a packet. It's not even a zine. It's just a packet of positivity. Have you seen?
Throw it at people.
Yeah.
Here's my packet.
Hey man, like seriously, thanks again, Sean. This is awesome. There's some really good stuff in here. I'm definitely gonna hit you up once it comes out, and I'll cut a couple clips for you too, so you can have some sound bites of yourself sounding super smart.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Adios, my friend. I'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.